At this point, it's no longer about left or right. It's really just about humanity versus insanity. I saw someone say this online, and I couldn't have agreed more. For a man to have existed where the record of him was all about good, he literally healed sick, raised the dead, fed the poor, did all the good you can ever think of, and they still shouted, "Crucify him," spat on him, mocked him, wore him a crown of thorns because he came with good news of salvation, then you can be rest assured humanity's brokenness has existed from the beginning of time, Cain and Abel, until this very day. It has never been about this difference of opinion. It has always been about a side letting it get to the point where they let evil take over, because all that has happened recently is nothing short of evil, is nothing but evil. There's no other way to describe it. By now, we all know the name Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to show you a short video of him explaining why he did what he did.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
This video is an example of how he had conversations on campuses with students, allowing people to air their views. If you could come and convince him, get to the mic and come and convince him. But the truth is, there were times where it was very controversial. He was attacked, insulted. It was no longer about debate, but about trying to put him in his place and telling him that he's hated for not having or sharing the same point of views as they share. 10th of September 2025, we've already heard the news. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in front of his wife and daughters. I don't know what could be more traumatizing. I mean, it was bad enough that he was killed, but to be done in front of his family was diabolical. And the aftermath reaction of some people who claim to be, left-wingers has really highlighted how bad and how broken humanity is. I've seen online where people are claiming he had no empathy, so why should they empathize with him? And all sorts of stupid statements just to justify celebrating this young man's death. I just need you guys to understand that Charlie Kirk was a 31-year-old. I listened to him. I followed him. This is not a hearsay, or I'm not making this video just because he is the popular topic. This was someone that I actively listened to and respected his points and his views on things, and enjoyed the refreshing nature of his intellect. He was someone who was able to have conversations about what he believed in the most mature and the most intelligent way. It was a breath of fresh air. But unfortunately, because he was someone who was able to share his views and thoughts on certain things very well, some people decided to take the cowardly way out, violence. Because I've seen this, someone said online, violence is the cowardly form of surrender.
Violence is surrender. It's saying that you can't win in the battlefield of ideas. What a terrible, terrible message to send. And that you have to be barbaric, and you have to be violent, and you have to be a savage, and you have to just shut that person down physically because you can't defeat him with your ideas. What a cowardly form of surrender.
It was clear that this man had something going for him, something that threatened them, because if he was not a threat, he would not be targeted. So like I stated earlier, I followed Charlie Kirk. I mean, I listened to him actively. This is not just passive or a trending topic. I actually listened to him. And unlike some people who have decided to come out and say, I actually don't agree with what he says or what he stood for, but the way he died was not good. I stood with 90% of how this man thought. I stood with what he stood for, wholeheartedly, without any shame. Because I noticed that people that thought like him, or people that acted or spoke like him with confidence and with some kind of conservativeness, because he was a conservative, he was a Republican, it was clear. He made his stand on his relationship with God, his relationship with his family, his thoughts on things very clear. There was no second guessing. He told you what was on his mind. And I respected that. And it was, like I said, it was a breath of fresh air. And I stood with a lot of what he said. And it gave other people who had the same mindset a space to feel connected with their people. Because especially in America, it's a place where, because what is trending is what is trending. If you have an opposing idea or ideology on that situation, then you are the enemy. It's no longer people with different point of views. It is now you are either with us or against us. so-called woke community claims to be so accepting. Why is it so hard for you to accept that not everybody will agree with your way of life or your thoughts on things? Every time I have a conversation with somebody, I've been begging them and I've been waiting for them to please tell me how he is racist. Tell me how he's a bigot. Tell me what he has done that has proven that this man was what you guys claim he is. Because for some reason, the media wants to push the ideology that he hated black people and he hated, the LGBT community, and he hated, it's all about hate. If somebody doesn't agree with your point of view, then they hate you. I'm going to explain why I really supported Charlie Kirk's point of view or message on a lot of things. I remember my father telling me stories about his village. I'm talking about where he grew up, the way things were. I remember how he mentioned crime was at its all-time low. Like, it was almost close to impossible to hear things like there was murder or kidnapping or rape. If it was far-fetched, killings, are you kidding me? That is big news. That is out of the ordinary. It was out of the ordinary to hear that there were things like that occurring among these community members. And this was not just because the community was special. It was because there were principles and processes and things put in place that made it happen. This was a community built on fundamental family structure, where people knew families. Nobody is saying that any community or group of people have it all figured out and are perfect, but there were a lot of evils that were so far-fetched that is so rampant in our day and age, and it's so accepted. As a matter of fact, it is celebrated like murder. Someone was clearly murdered and people are celebrating. That is how far gone humanity has come. There was a time where people were living in peace. People were held accountable. People understood that, yes, I need to even be held accountable if I do something wrong. And as a matter of fact, people that lost their minds were put in asylum. But now everybody is walking free because that is what they want. Whether they stab people in the neck, as far as I'm a black man, I have something protecting me, meaning my color protects me from any accountability I need to take. For goodness sake, where are we going to as human beings? Before anybody gets to the point where this is about America, how does this concern you here in Africa? Let me tell you something. This is not just about America. This is about humanity. It seeps into everything. And Nigerians better accept the fact that America has a very fat influence on us. And if there are things America do not get right, for some reason, Dodonyos in this country decide to accept everything, good and bad, as far as America does it. If America is doing it, it must be good. That's how some people think. And that is the kind of thing that is influencing our young ones, our youth, our teenagers. People are not ready to accept that, it is not everything that should be done. All things are lawful. Not all things are not everything, because you can do it, should be done. It's not the excuse is always, how does it affect you? It affects the entire community. Can't you see the system? Things are breaking down. With the idea that he was racist, I really want to say this entitled mentality that blacks have, especially immigrants, he fought against illegal immigration. I said I listened to this man well, and I support him. America was his top priority. And I feel his madness whenever I watch citizens of America burning down the American flag. And I know that, you guys have actually lost your mind. Is that bad? And for somebody to stand up and say, this isn't right, this is my country and I want to take care of it, it's a problem. And that is racism? Because he said criminals should go back to wherever they're coming from. As a matter of fact, criminals are supposed to enter jail. I think it's even nice enough to be sending you back to where you're coming from. If you want to be in another man's country or land, legally do it like everybody else who legally went there. If you are legally there, that means you are welcome. If you break into somebody's house through their window, you are a criminal and you should be treated as such. And that is what he stood for. And I stand for it too. And everybody that has a problem with it that is not an American, then you, like this, have misplaced priorities, because you are meant to use that energy to hold your government accountable, to prioritize you as their people, because no other country is entitled to prioritizing you. They don't owe you anything. I feel like these conversations are things that are very hard for people to comprehend. How much more stupid people do we need to produce on planet Earth before we realize that we should come back and start thinking and holding ourselves accountable on things? Let me even go back all the way. This is not about Charlie Kirk. I'm just talking about humanity and their need for always wanting to, have things their way without opening their minds to the fact that people are not all the same. Do you know that the white people that a lot of blacks hate are the same people that ended slavery? Yeah, go and check your own stats. Slavery has been existent since the beginning of time. And Almost every ethnicity, country, and nation has practiced slavery, including blacks. Everybody has. As a matter of fact, right now, there are places where there are still slaves as we are talking right now. Right now. But do you know who abolished slavery? The whites, the Westerners, the people you want them to. You don't just want people to hate white people. You want them to hate themselves. God forbid a white person celebrates themselves. Being born what they are automatically means they are less of human, or what? As a matter of fact, whenever I listened to Charlie Kirk, I felt very insulted by the people who got offended by him saying that blacks have equal opportunities as whites, because I hate being a victim. Why do you want me to be a pity party for the rest of my life? Charlie Kirk is telling me that I am equal to him and I can accomplish what I want to accomplish. I like that, yes, because I am not less than any person. I am not less than a person because of their race. I am not less than a white person, and I refuse to stay oppressed. Evil people do not come in races, they come as evil people. And everybody that celebrates evil like this, murder, you are the problem.
There are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot. Well, breaking news, folks. Seems somebody just took a shot at one of the Fantafast's favorite 5-mile wide mouthpieces, Charles Chuckle Kirk.
These are the same people that claim acceptance, empathy, and love. This is their reaction. And they want it given to them, and they don't know how to give it to people. I put myself together, even though watching those videos was disgusting, disheartening, uncomfortable. The level of hate that is governing the hearts and minds of people, and for you to feel like, why should we care about the fact that this person died? This person was murdered in front of you. And you didn't think, if this can happen to someone who stood up for what they believe, this could be me. Because there's nothing special about you that will not stop another person from gunning you down. Watch what the reporter had to say hours right after he was shot.
We don't know the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Now, everything this reporter has said has just reinstated the fact that I used to say it and I still believe it strongly. Age is not guarantee for wisdom, because he sounded foolish. What he just said is low-key equivalent to saying because a woman did not dress appropriately enough for you means that she is allowed to be raped. She welcomed being raped. It is the victim's fault. It is not the rapist. It's the same thing. As a matter of fact, some people are covered up completely. Do you know what the excuse can be? You are a woman, and for some reason you attracted the man, so it's your fault for being raped. That is exactly the same mindset. In what way did he bring in hate? Having your own point of view suddenly in our generation means hate. Being someone who has their strong convictions on certain things, just the same way, there are people, especially the people that hate him, the people that hate him have their own strong convictions on certain things. Why don't we gun? Oh yeah, now why doesn't the other party gun this person down? You know, I saw something online. When you silence the man who wanted to sit down and talk, you won't like the one you are left with. I need you guys to understand that. Think about that quote very well, because there's someone that you don't agree with. All he wants to do is talk. You go and you silence him, you'll be left with the one that doesn't want to talk, that wants to shove it down your throat. How do you guys think war and all those things happen? When you see nations and big men fighting, most of them are tired of talking. They are done with talking. So when you silence people who are interested in talking and you are left with the ones who are not, then I guess I can use the same ideology that this human being is saying and say that hate is out there. We should expect hate. Is this what we really want as a community? for it to be fight and enmity, and anybody that does not agree with how I think should be dead? How on earth is me telling you that I do not agree with this standpoint or with the point of view that you have mean that I want you dead? 1 + 1 is not giving 2 in this situation. You are very much allowed to have free speech. But apparently in the situation that has been going on in America, free speech is only allowed when the suppressed or oppressed party decides what speech should be free. Once you freely say your mind, if it does not align with what they like, yeah, we don't want that. You need to pay for it. And at this point in time, they are telling us you need to pay for it with your life. If you do not know Charlie Kirk, if you have never really listened to him and you have small information from the people that hated him, I want to beg you to take a step back and listen to this man. He was not a racist. He was not a bigot. He was a commentator who cared about his country. He does not owe anybody else outside that country anything. He will take care of that place. He will stand up for it. It is for us to go back to our own various countries and hold the people that are supposed to take care of us accountable. That is what he was doing. He was asking questions and he was giving information based off statistics, based off belief, and based off his faith. And I respect that. And if anybody has a problem with that, then that is your opinion. You don't see the rest of us looking for God to shoot you down. As far as I am concerned, the world has always been broken. And it is so clear. This one event has sparked up conversation and made it seriously clear how evil humanity can be. Because forget, people are trying to say, what about children in Gaza? They are dying. Why should we care about this man that died? I just want to let you know that Charlie Kirk did not send any missile there. As a matter of fact, he was very open to having the conversations about everything going on. And like I said, he is allowed to have his point of view just the way you are. Anybody is allowed to have their point of view on any situation. Nobody should take that away from you. The painful part of the entire thing is the response and the reaction of people who supposedly hated him. All the claim that Charlie Kirk was the one that spewed hate into the world, yeah, it's very evident he was not the problem. With the kind of reaction that has been going on online with his death, the hate is definitely not coming from his end. Someone mentioned diversity, especially in America, is so welcome. Different cultures, different colors, different race. But once it is a diversity of thought, that's the end. Diversity of thought is cancelled, and I do not understand why. I need you guys to get to a point where you start telling yourself to learn to see the entire picture and learn to have your opinion on things and don't be rigid on them, because once you get to a point where you know you are wrong but you refuse to let it go because of your ego, you are self-destructive. You are going to destroy yourself, because that's what happens to a lot of people. They get to the point where they have been proven wrong, but they can't let it go for ego and pride's sake. Do not do that to yourself. Growth is learning, relearning, unlearning. It takes all that to grow. I am very disheartened. This has affected me. It has taken me some time to process everything that has been going on. And I mean, my community, you guys know, I am someone who enjoys having very deep intellectual conversations with you. I want to hear what you have to think as well. Please drop your comments in the comment section, and hopefully we can come to a place where people can respectfully share their point of view and thoughts on things without having to feel the need to get violent. I pray for comfort for his family, his wife and children that had to experience everything that they saw right in front of them. I do not know how they handled it. To be honest with you guys, I have refused to watch the video. I cannot get myself to watch the video because I really don't know how anyone handled that and how human beings could even celebrate at that. If you are someone who is okay with it, I think you should check yourself. You probably have a demon, because that is not humanity. That is insanity.
You will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, because of your sexual identity, because of the community you came from. You must resist those narratives at all costs if you truly want to be successful in America.